Holy David Bowie trailer music, Batman. Tiki here. And I have just been watching through all of Batman, the animated series, in a select curated batch of Justice League and Justice League Unlimited episodes featuring Batman for the first time. And alas, it's time to take a look into the future. Dragon, tell them why we're here.
Well, you see, folks, long ago I made a vow to educate Tiki in the ways of Batman the Animated Series, serving as his spirit guide to Gotham in a way. But that was the past, and we must now enter the Batman's future.
And tonight, we are talking heroes. That's right, rip off Fantastic Four, baby. Okay, Dragon, I think this is kind of like the point that was sort of inevitably going to happen where I don't dislike this episode at all. I think it's a perfectly fine one. I'd give it like maybe a high 6, low 7. But I do think that this episode is pretty definitively like my least favorite. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying it's the worst. You know what I mean? But I would say it's pretty definitively my least favorite of the ones that we have covered thus far. So, as the kids would say, Dragon, I have a feeling that this episode is kind of giving me a little bit of a sense of what a mid episode of Batman Beyond kind of looks like.
Yeah. Heroes is you never hear anyone really talk about heroes from Batman Beyond, and it's kind of one of those. It is kind of one of those episodes where I don't necessarily think it's like bad or anything, but I think you're pretty on point. Like I think it's kind of how collectively everyone feels about it. It's not bad, but it's hardly a Batman episode.
Yeah. I mean, it's like there's really no Batman stuff at all. Yeah, I don't know, just pretty mid. I think this conversation's going to go by pretty fast. I mean, there's some cool ideas with it as far as the Fantastic Four stuff that I'm sure we can dive into. And there's definitely some interesting kind of morality play sort of stuff going on here. So, like I said, it's not like the episode's totally without its merits. It's just we've had some really good stuff up until this point.
And this was one of the ones I was kind of foreshadowing to Tiki. I told you there's a couple episodes in that first season that do feel kind of fillery, not in a negative way, but just in the sense of like, they were going for more. We have some big events that are going to pay off, but we also kind of have to kind of fill out the 13 episodes somehow. And just kind of, it's them. It's basically the best way to describe this. This is again kind of the filler episode. It's also them trying to find themselves a bit and seeing what kind of stories can we tell here. Like they're throwing stuff against the wall, seeing what sticks. Kind of like the first season of Gotham, only a lot more successful.
Oh, yeah, a lot more successful, definitely. Oh, we've got Lucas Green in the comments. He says, a very dramatic episode when you realize the circumstances, what led to their creation, how they deal with the crisis, especially Magma.
Yeah.
No, Lucas, totally. It is, like I said, the episode's definitely not without merit. It definitely has some pretty dark subtext to it, actually, which I have
very self-contained.
Like I'm sorry, really quick. I just have a feeling it's going to be kind of like a running theme of Batman Beyond. Like dark subtext, interesting thematic stuff you could go with. I just don't really necessarily think that the episode did the best job exploring the themes.
Yeah.
All right.
So a little context here. So this was directed by the great Butch Lukic, who this season he did Golem, which you seem to enjoy.
Yeah, you said that was a divisive one, but I liked that one a lot better.
Well, not divisive, but it's kind of I kind of lump it in with Heroes. With again, it's kind of like the somewhat of a fillery sort of like it's like we have our main story going on. This is kind of like we're just kind of seeing what we can do in the future.
Sure.
And the other episode Butch Luke is really known for is Mad Love, of course, the adaptation of Mad Love comic from New Adventures. The writer on this is Rich Fogel, who did Old Wounds, of course, one of the best episodes from the new Batman Adventures. And for the Kirby of it all, from Superman the Animated Series, he did Apocalypse Now, which I showed you that, didn't I?
What is it exactly?
Apocalypse Now is the 2-part episode from Superman the Animated Series. I believe the top of the 3rd season of Superman the Animated Series, in which Darkseid visits Metropolis and somebody dies.
Sounds familiar, yeah.
Anyway, so a studio worked on this, of course, Coco Dong Yang, Water is Wet, moving on. So the interesting thing about this episode, something didn't actually happen in this episode. So originally, this is kind of interesting. So this episode was kind of ahead of its time initially in the room. So the initial concept was, it's Batman Beyond. They're, again, as I mentioned in the episodes leading up to this, they're really toying around with what they can do villain wise that wouldn't just be Batman the Animated Series again. Like they're trying not to do like this, like bring back all the villains, and they're trying to get creative with how we do the villains. Like we had kind of like the high school, like kind of the high school kid, become essentially the bad guy with Golem. And here, basically, it was what if we? The initial concept was, what if we did something more in line with The Boys, which I don't think was around at this. I forget when The Boys started as a comic, but it's very similar to what The Boys was initially, if you can believe it. The idea was, let's do an homage to the Fantastic Four, because Bruce Timm is a lifelong Kirby fan, loves Jack Kirby's work, including the Fantastic Four, like we all do. And basically, what if we did kind of like on the surface, they were a hero team like the Fantastic Four. Surface, very, like everyone loves them, but in reality, they were criminals doing shady stuff outside the public eye, which Batman would catch them in the act for. So again, very much like kind of like The Boys in a sense, in terms of like, hey, they're all heroes to the public, but really bad dudes. But they're really criminals. So, so that's the thing. It was quite ahead of its time when you look at things now. Looking back then, like, wow, that would have been really. And ultimately, it was just an issue of. I think it was two things. One, it was an issue of. I think it was an issue in the story room of. I don't think we had the sufficient amount of time to tell that big a concept in 22 minutes. Which
I definitely agree with that. I think that especially because. I don't know, Dre. It's the case of like the ending on its own is like obviously tragic, right? But like it's almost like it was kind of like they bit off more than they could chew with the ending, because it's like I don't feel as much for an ending like that as, let's say, off the top of my head, like an ending like Baby Doll, which was able to craft something just incredibly tragic in 22 minutes. You know what I mean? And by the end of that episode, you're just emotionally devastated. Whereas here, 3 people lose their lives. I should be weeping.
Now, here's the thing. So again, this just shows you, again, the way we've kind of chosen to go about, our recaps of Batman's representation of the DCAU is, of course, we're kind of going chronologically versus kind of how things came out. So this show comes out, then eventually they do Justice League. Justice League, you could do kind of like a Boys-like sort of interpretation, because you'd have multiple episodes to tell that story with versus just the one. And also in Justice League Unlimited, an episode you really liked, especially for Kevin Conroy's contribution at the end, Minor Bigger. That episode.
I'm sorry, what was it? Sorry.
The Kevin Conroy's line at the end of the ultimatum, the Minor Bigger.
Oh yeah, right, yeah.
When he tough talks Amanda Waller. So in that episode, a lot of people have compared that episode to this, and again, this kind of bridges that path there, where you have a government-sponsored super team that kind of turn into the bad guys, and have been kind of manipulated by the government in itself. So it's so again, this is kind of a building block to doing that sort of story. So this feels like they could actually do that story in 22 minutes, but I think it took time to really. Again, it was ahead of its time. Ultimately, I think it's kind of what ultimately came into being there. So. And again, also then it evolved into, Tragic Heroes Gone Bad being the simplified version of the idea. And as I mentioned before, Bruce Timm, lifelong Kirby fan. And we're in a show that already has a lot of heavy Marvel influences, with basically my childhood dream come true of, like, what if we took Batman and Spider-Man and kind of put them together, It's kind of... So again, there's also some Spider-Man references in this episode as well, as we kind of have all over the place in Batman Beyond. So it's a again big old Marvel episode in a sense. And again, when you look back on it, man, it's amazing. Marvel didn't try and sue them. I ain't complaining though.
Okay, so we have Koski in the comment saying, I heard from reliable sources that Tiki has no soul and feels nothing when 3 human beings died a horrible death. And Atomic Beast says Bruce doesn't believe the terrific trio after the Ultraman.
So that's a retroactive thing, but Atomic Beast is right, and that's kind of the idea.
Incident. I'm sorry.
Yeah, the Ultraman. So yeah, that's essentially people retroactively. Again, that's kind of a fun thing to have with Batman Beyond now, because retroactively you look back, everything that we've gotten in the with Justice League Unlimited, everything has kind of now adds to what has gone down between New Batman Adventures and Batman Beyond in terms of what Batman's done with his life. When they're making this, they had no idea they were going to get a Justice League show. Because it comes right before Justice League. They had no idea we were going to cross him over with the Big Seven, and that goes into kind of interesting place in the third season of Batman Beyond, but we'll get there. So, yeah.
All right. You ready to just dive right into it then?
Yes.
Okay, let's do it. We could be heroes. All right.
All right. So we have some robbers with some rocket packs. They're stealing the, I believe it's the
very Disney Rocketeer-esque rocket packs.
Oh, for sure. Listen, honestly, when I see these rocket packs, and
very Rocketeer-esque.
So this is something kind of fun I should mention too visually. If you look at this, you kind of see this all over the place. Particularly when you get the Justice League, you see a whole bunch of this. They reuse designs, almost like a prop warehouse, kind of like we have the Pixar Easter eggs and Easter eggs in general animated movies. They kind of reuse designs and kind of like spice up a little bit, and maybe kind of borrow concepts. Where again, this is another retroactive thing. Well, we didn't know we were going to do this, so let's borrow this and kind of put it here. Superman the Animated Series, one of my all-time favorite episodes from that show is sorry. This is another. I just remember my favorite episode's like Way of the Flesh, but I think the one I'm thinking of is A Little Piece of Home, and A Little Piece of Home is the Kryptonite introduction episode. And that episode has this amazing chase where Superman's trying to catch robbers that are flying away with rocket packs. It's really cool. So again, kind of a similar thing there. So and we have the T7. They're stealing these rocket pack thieves. They're stealing the T7 chip, which is like digital gold. Because in the future, as we'll get into none of the other episodes, you see currency in Batman Beyond is mainly credit. Basically, they thought like we were going the way of, we didn't go fully paperless, but we went kind of we went from paper to plastic entirely. That's kind of how that works. So the idea is thing will probably like be a money printing machine for credits, I think is the idea behind the T7 chip. Anyway, so Batman given chase here. Interestingly, he is not using the grappling line that is mounted into the costume like Spider-Man. He is using the actual grappling gun from the new Batman Adventures, which I think is just so his arm doesn't get ripped out of its socket. I think is why
I don't disapprove. That's a smart plan.
I think so too, yeah. So he's dodging blaster fire. Cool little chase going on here. This is kind of brutal there. I completely forgot about this. Kind of an ethical gray zone, if you really think about it. This one guy that Batman's chasing, the one he's grappled onto, he runs into a billboard and kind of blows up.
Yeah, a little bit.
Now again, that was his own folly, though. Okay, that was like he flew into.
Is that kind of like a Batman Begins Ra's al Ghul sort of like, I'm not gonna save you sort of situation?
I mean, look, he was trying to kill Batman. He didn't do anything to this guy. He just like all he had to do was like not fly into that billboard. That was his own.
That's fair.
Okay, that was completely on that guy. I'm saying we don't see. I mean, that's a bad explosion. I don't see any bodies or parachuting coming out of that. I'm pretty sure he's dead. But again, not Terry's fault. I want to be very.
Should we have a Terry McGinnis Batman body count?
No, don't do that. No.
All right. There's another count that I'm tempted to do this episode that we'll get to.
All right. So, point being, after this brutal explosion, Batman goes down. Then enter the terrific trio. Three.
There's 3 of them, not 4. What a twist!
Yeah, we're going to combine aspects of their powers.
I know, right?
We're going to slim down one member of the Fantastic Four.
Okay, so by far my favorite member of the trio, Dragon, just to kind of like, you want to talk through them really quick just to get it out of the way?
Okay, so we got Freon, who freezes one of them because she's like kind of like cold air essentially. It's kind of like sentient, kind of like you have Magma.
Her power set is a little bit Invisible Woman, a little bit Human Torch.
Yeah. Exactly, kind of Human Torch, but cold, and obviously a little see-through like the Invisible Woman. So you have Magma, who is very much. He's kind of a combination of 3 because the subtle one is that
he's obviously. I think he's pretty much the Thing as far as the personality goes, but also there's some Reed Richards with the love interest, and then also a little bit of Johnny Storm with the power set.
Because remember,
So
Tiki,
he's kind of all three of them.
Exactly. He's the lead scientist. Like, he's the scientist who did the experiment. So he was Reed Richards, but he looks like the Thing and has the temperament of the Thing, but is the fire, very Human Torch-esque. So, yes.
And then Dragon, by far my favorite, and we don't do enough with him in the episode, I think. I love 2D Man.
Yes, 2D Man.
Oh, 2D Man. Oh, what a delight.
Which, by the way, I think might be a double reference. 2D Man, obviously Mr. Fantastic, but there was, I'm blanking on...
There's a super obscure reference to something that we really dive deep into, Dragon, you and I, that 2D Man reminds me of. Can you think of what it is? Think about it. Super obscure reference, like not a lot of people would get it, but it's something that you and I spend a lot of time dissecting.
God, well, I mean, I don't.
I'm kind of putting you on the spot here. I know. I'm just curious if you can think of it.
Yeah, I don't think it's Freakazoid related.
No. More obscure than that.
Wow. Yeah, I'm.
I'll tell you what it is. It's Channel Awesome. Do you remember Kick-Assia 3D Lee?
Oh, 3D. Yes. Yeah.
It's 3D Lee. It's like by far the best part of that movie.
Yeah, here's the thing. There was this in the Deadpool had this. So Deadpool teamed up with the Great Lake Avengers, who were like the lame version of the Avengers.
The Great Lake Avengers.
Yes, yeah, the Great Lake Avengers.
I've heard of them. Yeah,
and they have a member on that team. I forget if he's called Flat Man or not, but he's a character who is a lot like 2D Man, but essentially. Again, it's the same concept, a flat guy who stretches.
I love the idea, just visually.
Yeah, so I don't know if they drew any, I don't know if, that one I think is just coincidental, but obviously it's...
Oh, no, obviously, I mean, Channel Awesome Dragon, first of all, that movie came out in, 2000.
No, I don't mean him, I meant Flat Man, I meant the yes, Tiki, they were looking at Channel Awesome 8 years later. Yeah, that's how that worked. Yeah.
Oh, God. All right, anyways. So they show up, there's some action, there's some fight.
Yes, so they show up and they're catching these rockets.
I love when 2D Man just catches the two guys and just basically turns into a giant trampoline.
I want to highlight two of the members here. So 2D Man, did you recognize who voices him?
I'm guessing it was Paulson.
No.
It wasn't Paulson. Okay, who was it?
Jeff Bennett.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. The
Bends.
I was in the ballpark.
And also, we had so here's a more obscure one. So Magma, who does a lot of really good acting in this episode, I feel. Robert Davi or Davey. Robert Davi.
This name sounds familiar.
He's Jake from the Goonies. He is the he's the one son that's not Joey Pantoliano. It's the other guy.
Got it.
It's the one that scares the crap out of Chunk. That guy. That's Anyway. So, but yeah, a lot of range from that guy. Did not know he had it in him. He does. Okay, so the point is they catch the bad guys, and Batman's given voice to with a nice transition here. Who are those guys? Transition to Expo News with AIs. Because all the newscasters are computer programs in Batman Beyond. So yeah. Anyway, except technically all the newscasters but one, but we'll get to him in season 2.
Oh, all right.
Tiki, I don't want to tell you, but you're gonna love him.
Okay, I believe you.
He's someone we know.
It is all right. I won't look it up.
Okay,
all right.
So we basically with the origin story on these guys, which took place at the Bay Ridge Research Center, kind of the film for the Baxter Building, hence all the B's, by the way, if you're keeping track. We had Dr. Mike Morgan, Mary Michaels, a lot of alliteration, you can probably tell. The Reed Richards of it all, and Stuart Lake, I think his name is. Anyway, so we have basically the scientist, the fiance, and the research assistant. One person noticeably absent who would have made them a Fantastic Four. They do this experiment with a particle fusion. Basically, they did this particle fusion experiment, which had a lot of radiation involved. A lot of radiation in Batman Beyond of those. And the kids, Maddie, Terry's little brother, Maddie, and his pal are watching this. Like, this video may be the following video may be too intense for children. Cool, turn it up.
All right, I just want to highlight really quick, like Maddie. I know he doesn't have a big role in this episode, but I know I've highlighted it before, but I just really like his design. He's kind of feels like the proto like '90s kid brother. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure. I mean, kind of like, well, ladder pro because it's 99, but okay.
Well, yeah, I know, but but I feel like it's in the same way that Rocket Power was '99, but that's very quintessential '90s. Let's go with quintessential '90s.
Fun fact about Maddie, because we haven't really talked about him that much. Because the last time we really talked about Maddie, he popped up in the Rebirth. That's like really the last time we ever talked about the kid. But Ryan O'Donoghue voices Maddie, and interestingly, and I like to think this is the direct inspiration, Legends of the Dark Knight. You remember Legends of the Dark Knight, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the kid who told the Dick Sprang Batman story, the one who looks like a Dick Sprang Robin, who looks like kind of a the younger Robin. His name was Matt, and he was voiced by Ryan O'Donoghue. So I like to think they really like that episode.
Kind of like backdoor pilot character.
I would like to think so. Anyway, so the kid. I like the kind of the gag on censorship in the future. Like, no, we're not going to censor. It's going to show it. show a traumatizing thing for the kids. Just warn them ahead of time. We're just going to show it though. So we have all the body horror that happens. I mean, look out, Josh Trank. Here's some body horror for you.
Right.
Yeah. So we have basically this. We see the horrific things that happen to him as they mutate. Again, looking back to the origin of the Fantastic Four on that one. And then they become a government-sponsored team for Neo Gotham, which, by the way, I don't know if I mentioned, this is the name of Gotham now in the future, called Neo Gotham. So, and also it's very, very derivative of, I guess, retroactive. It's very much what Fan Forstic's plan was for the Fantastic Four. We're going to turn them into a government-sponsored super team, and this is what it looks like. Yeah. Had we not done the whole 2 years later?
Oh boy.
That whole thing. Anyway. So let's see. So this gag cracks me up on the rewatch. So I love the fact they embark in their war on crime, and then we cut to Bruce. I'm sure Bruce Wayne's like rolling his eyes at this. Like,
yeah, totally.
Their war on crime in Gotham. They're waging a war on crime. Like, I dedicate all my life to a war on crime. For these posers, literal posers, to show up and take war on crime away from me. Come on. So Terry's thinking, again, we do bring back the thing we had in the Meltdown episode. Terry being the optimist in the room, the optimistic younger Batman in the room here. Where he's saying, I have more time to do my homework. And then we have not a lot of great Conroy this episode.
This is the good Conroy line, Dragon. I'll give it a good Conroy. This would be the line. I agree.
We have two good Conroy moments in this episode.
Yeah. I don't think there's a great one, though. I agree with that. But yeah, we do have some good ones.
I'm going to tell you something, okay? Next episode is wall to wall the great Conroy.
Oh, really? Oh, cool.
I mean, awesome. It's like one of the old Bruce Wayne episodes.
Oh, looking forward to it. Okay, awesome.
Okay, so he gives a very knowing "we'll see," just like communicating. He's this is a knowing line. Bruce knows, like, yeah, this is not again now retroactively. I've seen the Ultimate. I know how this turns out. I'm just gonna wait. Okay, so we have a hostage crisis. Barbara, Commissioner Barbara Gordon on the scene with the GCPD. Now, Tiki, the kidnapper, is someone we kind of know vaguely.
Kind of know. Who do we kind of know, Dragon?
The kidnapper is voiced by Don Harvey. Do you know that name offhand, sir?
The name sounds familiar. I can't think offhand.
Okay, I know for a fact you've seen him, but you might not have known the name. So he was the original Jeffy from Better Call Saul.
Oh, okay. Got it.
He was the original guy in the sweater who drove the cab before they had the recasting.
That's funny.
Pandemic. Yeah. So Don Harvey, this is
world.
Yeah, he was the original intimidating-looking guy in the mirror who then got him to say "Better Call Saul." That guy. Anyway, so he's the kidnapper here, and he's basically my bank accounts. There's still no donations. He's got the Councilman Green's family in there. Plan B is a bomb. None of this is good. Thank goodness. The trio arrive, take him down. Like I said, Cold Feet pun from Freon there, and then Magma. get into the pathos, kiddies. Magma scares the crap out of this little girl as he rescues him, and
Yeah, I mean, Dragon, here's the thing. I think there's solid ideas in this episode. I think the thing is, none of the really good ideas have a lot of time to breathe. I feel like this episode is kind of like rushing through its story. That's ultimately where I'm kind of landing on it.
I agree with you, Tiki, in that I think we play this initial moment so good, but then we have no real time to spend with this character to really feel. We give Magma good moments in this episode. The problem is the two biggest moments are like the beginning and the ends of an arc, but we're kind of missing the stuff in between. We're missing the cream of the Oreo, of the story Oreo, so to speak. It's all cookie. But yeah,
that's a good way to put it. Yeah.
But this is really great, though. We do have this moment where in the aftermath, it's really effective aftermath. He's walking towards the girl. I don't think intentionally. He's kind of walking towards her. And Barbara here, again, having been someone who's been in the costume, who's like, I think, really looking out for him in this moment here. She's, we'll take it from here. And I just love this. It's an homage, obviously, to This Man, This Monster, the most famous Thing story ever written. But still, it's a sad acceptance of just the way this creature emotes. And, it's just that moment. This is the moment that informs the other great moment he has in the episode. This is the moment where he himself knows he's no hero. He's not a hero.
Mm-hmm.
Then he smashes a cop car, and then we have probably the funniest bit in the episode where one of the cops, one of the DCPD officers says, "Hey, that's police property. You tell him."
You want to tell him?
Yeah. All right, so you feel for Magma. And Michael, and he can't even touch his fiance's hand as we're kind of expositing there, and then we bring in essentially our faux Reed Richards. We bring in kind of the faux Reed Richards and or Dr. Doom, depending on how you look at it. Howard Hodges.
I like how it's a little bit of both. That is a nice kind of, but like I said again, Dragon, it's like good ideas. This guy just doesn't have enough of a personality for me to really care.
Agreed. He does have a good voice actor, a subtle voice actor. He's not like a recognizable name, but he's Kevin Dunn, the dad from Small Soldiers and Transformers movies, and Dave, that guy.
Wait, the dad from the Shia LaBeouf's dad, that guy.
Yeah, Kevin Dunn. Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's fun. That's fun.
And again, as you'll see,
Dragon. People bitch about the parents in those movies, but for me, I think they're one of the better parts of those movies. Honestly.
Also, for the film buffs out there, he is J. Edgar Hoover in the Chaplin movie that should have got Downey Jr. the Oscar.
Right.
Oh yeah, Kevin Dunn though. Good. I love him in Dave, which hopefully we'll be talking about later.
We'll get there.
So he's in that too, and he's really good in that. Anyway, so point, he is playing.
I tell you, I've already told you why my hesitation towards Dave, and it's nothing to do with the movie itself. It's just like the Eddie Murphy movie. I'm thinking of the Eddie Murphy movie when I hear that title.
Curse you, meet Dave.
Exactly.
It's kind of funny. We have an episode with a Better Call Saul alumni, and we have a character named Howard Hodges, so an HH with Howard.
Oh, that's funny.
Okay, so point is, he says he's trying to find a cure, much like Reed Richards, and
Howard Hamlin kind of sounds like a Marvel name now that I think about it.
It does, and I love that.
All right, go ahead. Sorry.
So he's trying to find a cure, and he was, again, there's a little suspicion. He was absent at a budget meeting the night of, and they're throwing a little suspicion out there, but nothing really serious. And Michael, Michael, the lead scientist, who might actually have a prayer in helping him, he can't help because he can't hold a test tube anymore because it'll set on fire, it'll break it or something. So Hodges, we reveal he meets with General Norman. So we should probably talk about General Norman's design.
Yeah, do we have to?
I mean, we probably should. It's really noticeable.
All right, what's up with it?
He looks kind of like Hitler.
Yeah, a little bit.
He's got the. I don't. Here's the thing. Even in the future, you gotta wonder how is the Hitler stash come back and stuff.
Okay, you know what? The only thing that I'm going to give it a pass on with is the fact that I feel like it's probably a throwback to James Jonah Jameson.
I know, right? I think that's
I think that's what they're going for. That would be my guess.
But you'd think they'd give him hair if that were the case, don't you?
Right.
But no, you're right. I think the actual that's the only logic as to why we're giving him the Hitler stash. It's got to be J. Jonah Jameson, given all the other Marvel nods that.
Yeah.
But it's still though. I mean, when you look
General Norman needs photos of Spider-Man.
It really doesn't help that he's in a military outfit. Let's be honest.
No. The fact that he's in a military outfit is that is some.
Honestly, I think that's what really hurts. Anyway, so General Norman here, he's basically they're expressing concerns that if they get out of control, the military is going to have to step in. So there's a very kind of like a kind of thin ice kind of alliance here. Then we have a really nice scene with Maddie. Tiki, take it away.
Okay, really quick. I need to. I just want to fire off a couple comments. Lucas Green says, also Magma does have a DCAU Clayface design.
Yep.
Tom B says, you know how horrific, whether Magna or not, if you're Magna, you might burn someone just by touching them. If you're the Citizen, you're burnt alive. Oh, God, yeah.
That's pretty bad, yeah. Like, hey, Magma, you want to hug my kid? Oh, God.
Hey, Magma, high five.
Ah! It burns. Oh, no, it doesn't.
Hey, Magma, you want to go shoot some hoops? Oh, wait. All right, that's the thing. Magma gets more of a focus, and the other two kind of get the shaft. Yeah, agreed. I actually think this would be a good two-parter, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you're wrong, but then again,
I don't necessarily think the premise calls for a two-parter per se.
It feels.
I'm just saying, the ideas that they're going with, I feel like would be better fleshed out in two parts.
Again, it feels like had they gone with the original premise, 2 episodes would have been the way to go. Because if you want to do the whole hey, they're good guys in episode 1, then part 2 is we know they're bad guys and Batman's trying to stop them. But again, that's
Koski actually brings up a good point, Dragon. Did you ever put this together? He says, General Norman, oh God, Green Goblin is getting Dragon. Do you think that maybe General Norman is Norman Osborn crossed with J. Jonah Jameson?
That's
I honestly think that might be what they're going for. I don't know.
Okay, I think that's a good call. I gotta be honest. This is kind of funny. This is not time to reference in the episode, but it's I forget what the general's name was in the first Spider-Man movie that Norman Osborn does kill, but I forget if his name was General Norman or not.
Oh.
I don't think it was, but no, I think it's right there. Of all the Marvel references are making, that has to be in there. I think so. I'm inclined to agree. Norman, of all the names you give this guy, come on, Norman. But there's literally there's
Norman.
Unless you're Vera Farmiga in the room, I don't think you're naming this guy Norman.
Oh God, Dragon! I saw women talking the other day, and Rooney Mara.
The movie, not just random women talking.
Yeah, well, yes, Dragon, the movie. Yes, thank you for clarifying that. Rooney Mara is in that movie. You know how Rooney Mara, she usually has short hair or brunette. She was a blonde in this, and I tell you, Rooney Mara as a blonde looks strikingly like Vera Farmiga.
You gotta admit, doesn't that make you all the horror stuff that Vera Farmiga's done? Doesn't it make you want to see a Cult of Farmiga movie?
Yes, what do you mean a Cult of Farmiga?
I just mean if you had
Vera Farmiga as a playing a cult leader, or do you mean a movie that's literally about people who worship her as an actress?
Honestly, both. Honestly,
maybe a Bean John Malkovich kind of situation.
I'm imagining Vera Farmiga with a cult of actresses who are styled to look like Vera Farmiga. You would have Kate Blanchett, but with blonde hair, and just looking kind of Farmiga-esque, and Rooney Mara, and of course the leader of the second in command be Taysa Farmiga, who's Farmiga's little sister. Anyway, so
all right,
getting back on point. Yeah, so Terry and Maddie, they're going to the mall, and they stop in a little shop here, and we see the trio. They're merchandising already, and they have awesome action figures. Seriously, how great do these action figures look?
I'm an action figure!
Phil?
Okay, Dragon, you know what? I'm actually gonna give a little shout-out to our friend here. Let's see. Dragon, remind me, have you ever been on a show with Casey?
Yeah.
Yeah, you have? Okay, I wasn't quite sure. So Dragon, he made himself a pop figure.
It's a little bit of an ego move, don't you think?
Well, no, but okay, excuse him for trying to self-promote, all right?
Oh wait, no, I'm saying, was this like him do? Okay, what's the figure of exactly? Is it just
Okay,
him, or is
it's
it
of
do
him like with like at his editing bay with like the Prometheus logo on a little laptop and
Okay,
a
it's
little
over.
microphone for podcasting.
Okay, I was just thinking it's more like look, I'm an action figure versus like he's actually doing something. Okay,
Well,
so
no, it is. Look, I'm an action figure. That's what made me think of it. But I think it's cool. Anyways,
yeah.
I'm bringing it up because I hope he makes me an action figure as well.
Okay.
Because he says he might make other people from the show into action figures.
All right, well, man, that's
Anyways,
cool.
all right.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, so we have so we
All right, Koski, I'll give you one. He's asking me to read the comments. That's fine. Hey, Magma, let's take this relationship to the next level. Never mind. God, I did think this through.
I miss the lower half of my body.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so they're shopping at the mall and they find these awesome, terrific trio action figures, and they're going and checking out the merch. You got shirts, you got action figures, you have like the magma underwear, and then we have some future lingo. Yeah, Maddie's saying, like peg it. Look, there's magma underwear.
Magma underwear. That does not sound like a good idea if you're being accurate. Oh God, that really doesn't sound like a good idea.
Oh no, it doesn't. No.
All right, this whole podcast has pretty much devolved into magma jokes.
Yeah. Krakatoa!
Oh God!
Oh no, seriously. Yeah, but yeah, like the future lingo here with like peg it, and we have like shui and rip.
Shui, yeah, I'm liking the shui.
Now Shui's going to be there through the whole series, but these
I
other
kind of
ones,
I kind of picked up on that already. Yeah.
The other ones, though, it feels like they're just kind of trying things out in season one. I think they're just going to fall by the like rips and peg it. They don't stick around. So, and again, this is ultimately it really does read like, hey, we really combed through Dark Knight
Wouldn't
Returns.
it be funny if they had like future lingo that actually ended up being 2020's lingo?
I mean, I'm down. Honestly, wouldn't it be nice if Shui actually made into lexicon?
It would be. I do appreciate that.
I'd like to think in 2040 we're saying Shui. We can't. You and I aren't going to be around in 2040.
No, I don't think. I genuinely. Oh, I don't want to get dark, but
yeah. So, point being, Shui is good. But I don't know, Peg and Rips does sound a little like we looked at Dark Knight Returns and we tried getting like the whole slice and dice and chicken legs, licking legs, and all that kind of the mutants talk. Just kind of like we tried to kind of class it up a little. Anyway, so Matty is actually he's not swept up in the terrific trio of it all. He said, those guys are twips. Batman rips.
I do like that Maddie's a Batman fan. That's pretty fun dynamic.
I like that it kind of touches Terry to an extent.
Yeah.
Like, hey, have some ice cream sandwich.
And I will say that the Batman Beyond suit is a much cooler design than any of the three of the trio.
Well, of course, yeah.
I'm still in love with it.
Look, I'm the Diet Coke Challengers of the Unknown. I mean, come on. Anyway, so the ice cream, my treat. Sure, what's the catch? Again, the distrust of '90s brothers. All right, so we got a data cube. It's a cube, Tiki. We do science in the future.
Yes, it is indeed a cube.
I mean, this is really cool, man. We put in like a bowl, Anyway, so we have this data cube. So like the data spike and everything, where you have the trio's DNA scans.
They're robbing a Nintendo GameCube. The bastards.
Yeah. So the DNA results that are on this cube, very bad prognosis, and Hodges is trying to hide and trying to make absolute certain it is as bad as it looks. And while this happens, a scientist is attacked.
Dun dun dun.
So Terry's on patrol here. He's asking why Bruce bothers sending him out on patrol right now. The trio's like making so far is making such a difference or impact just so much as a purse snatcher out these days. So then we have kind of like this. We basically see like a big old hot spot happening at like a lot of heat readings coming from the Bay Ridge Research Center, and well, we doubt it ain't Smokey the Bear that's there. So they go
I
over there,
like
and of
that
course,
line.
yeah. So we see Magma with with kind of this big clear coated briefcase with the data cube in it, and it seems like Terry is thinking that Magma here is he's working solo tonight, and I think he's naive enough in this moment to think like, hey, so Magma, you working solo tonight, and poor Terry, man, gets hit. Like, Magma's so rude in this scene. You know what? I know he's going through stuff. He doesn't have to hit him around. He's just smacks him around. He's just like impolite, to quote the Dick. And yeah, so then we have this really great line from Batman here. He says, "Hey, how about showing a fellow civil servant some professional courtesy?"
Mhm.
Yeah. So again, he's just really just tossing Batman around like a rag doll. Which again, our new Batman, that can happen to. Original Batman, probably not.
Yeah, sure.
At least not as
Again, that's
much.
kind of like blending the Spider-Man of it all.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. And much like Spider-Man, he's shooting that grappling line. He's throwing the batarang with the bat rope out a lot. A little Spider-Man-esque. They're leaning on the Spider-Man for sure.
Mhm.
Okay, so Terry, he's a little crestfallen here. I thought he was one of the good guys. Like, yeah. I get the sense he did kind of like the idea of other heroes making a difference in Gotham. That again give him a little bit more of a social life, and be kind of like again like basically, what if Batman had the easiest job ever? It's a teenager leaning into, what if the Night Crew did all the work?
Yeah.
So he hitches a ride on the hover car that Magma's driving, and Magma confronts the team with with the fact that Hodges has lied to them, and he basically presents the science, which is the DNA is breaking down. Now they don't say this explicitly in the episode, but I think what they're conveying is because the DNA is breaking down, they are goners and they're dying. That's the impression I got.
Yeah, again, I just feel like the other two are just like on the sideline so much in this episode that it just doesn't, unfortunately, hit as hard as it could. I feel like I'm kind of a broken record here, but it's a good premise. I feel like have other Batman episodes used similar premises to this, where it's like someone's like on a time clock of some kind. I feel like I've seen this before somewhere.
Well, I mean, when you say like, I'm not sure what you mean by time crunch on this, Dicky. Like, what do you?
Well, I mean, like like a situation where a character's powers are going to get out of control or something like that.
I mean, I guess, kind of like, for example, you had the episode "Mudslide" with Clayface, in which he's breaking down. It ends in the battle in the rain and everything, where he's still
Right. Yeah,
I think that's kind of what you're intimating there, but yeah.
probably.
So I mean, yeah, there's something similar to that in terms of like the DNA's breaking down. Only that whole episode was about that, though, and this is just more like the third act's about that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I feel like the whole episode could have been about this premise.
Yeah. So and also, I mean, I think the better example to you, if it's exactly what you're talking about, is the Ultimen. The Ultimen had this exact thing happen to them because they were clones.
You know what? I think that is exactly what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, and again, we didn't recap the episode, but you watched the episode because again, you had
right, yeah.
I think it's probably what you're thinking of. Which again, a lot of similarities between that and this is kind of a bridge to that. So yeah, so government attacks the building, quite recklessly, I must say, because they're like firing these, these drills that dispensing tear gas and everything in there, and it's just that, in broad daylight, they're practically night. It's not daylight, but still, they're attacking a building in Gotham, which I'm sure didn't age well a few years later. Army's attacking. Terry here, he's sneaking into the place, and we have another good Conroy moment.
A good Conroy moment, yes.
Again, it's the stock line for him, but my God, does Conroy deliver? You got to admit, Conroy delivers this line. He delivers it, man. Like, McGinnis, get out of there now.
Okay, and that is what I wanted to start a counter on.
Right?
Every time Batman says, Guinness, get out of there, or McGinnis, get out of there.
Yeah.
So what would be? Do you know offhand what we would be up to if we started on this episode?
I mean, what do you mean? If we started on this episode, it'd be at 1, Tiki. I mean, if we...
It's the first one?
No, I mean, we've done it before. Are you saying, like, if we we have to go back to make sure. I think it might be a little too late to do a counter because he keeps, he said better variations of like do it now or McGinnis get out of there now. I think this might be the first full on McGinnis get out of there now. But
okay, I'm saying I want to do a counter for every specific McGinnis get out of there.
Okay, well, I'll look into it. I'll get back to you on the official count.
All right, okay? Fair enough.
Okay, well, if you told me beforehand, I would have had it for you, but we'll have that next episode.
All right.
So, let's see. Terry. Okay, so then here's the big Spider-Man moment. Terry is he doesn't get out of there in time. He is buried under a lot of rubble and machinery, and he's under basically this big old like cylindrical pillar, which is an homage to Amazing Spider-Man number 33, the famous Spider-Man's buried under that machinery, thinking about his loved ones, and we put in.
So that's another thing that about this episode that doesn't really vibe with me all that well. Dragon is, I honestly feel like, oh, dare I say it, it's not this bad. Like when it's a little bit of Marvel member berries.
I mean, it just feels like they're doing one episode that's all the Marvel stuff. Which again, like I'm not saying it was like it's necessarily like the go-to idea they should have gone with, but if they're gonna do it, it seems like this is the episode to do it in.
Koski says my dream is to one day be in a situation where an old badass screams, "Koski, get out of there now!"
I mean, that is kind of the dream, though. Don't you want to be like in a live or die situation? Then you hear like an old Bruce Wayne yelling at you, "Get out of there now!"
Oh my god! All right,
it's pretty cool. Anyway. I mean, but you're not wrong, Tiki. It feels like we always have like an element of Spider-Man in all of these episodes anyway, but it feels like it's very noticeable in the very Marvel-inspired episode with all the other stuff that's going on.
I'm just saying the whole episode is just kind of like, all right, hey kids, remember that time that Spider-Man got caught under the rubble? Yeah, wasn't that cool? You know what I mean? Like, I honestly feel like I would like this episode more if we as a culture weren't just, if that whole like member berries thing wasn't just such a big part of the pop culture landscape nowadays.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It might be a little bit more novel.
And then when this thing came out, there was no like, again, this was like, hey, look, cool Marvel stuff that were
exactly right.
This is before you had like the full on like kind of race in the movies between DC and Marvel, like truly, like before it was no contest, and now it's like, well, they're trying to catch up, but a lot of ground.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Batman escapes before he's crushed and and he kind of buried to death in all the rubble. Let's see, Magma, he gets shot and he kind of bleeds magma. It's kind of brutal.
Mm-hmm.
A bit there. Got some intense battle. There's an intense battle to escape. I think I feel sorry for the trio. I feel sorry for them that like, oh man, they're coming after him. It's not really their fault because they've been lied to and everything. And basically, they found they're gonna die. It's like, well, no, we're gonna kill you before anyone finds out what's been going on here. So the trio. Again, they basically take the Diet Coke Fantastic Car to escape, seemingly, but it was actually a diversion.
The Diet Coke Fantastic Car, indeed, yeah.
Yep. So they seemingly take it, they get blown up, and but Terry I like that Terry figures this out. He says like, no, wait a minute, it was a decoy, and he finds they escaped to this like lava hole buried under somewhere. And then we go back to our third act here for the Bay Ridge Research Center, in which Hodges is guilt-ridden as the general tells him that, hey, we got, they're dead, they're gone, but this was a possibility. Then the trio confronts him, and they ain't happy, understandably.
Yeah, I mean, I do like that there is a little bit of moral ambiguity with the fact that Hodges does genuinely care about the situation, but at the same time, of course, there's also the skeeziness of like he did legitimately mean to kill Magma.
Yeah.
So, it's like, what are you going to do? You're still a bad guy at the end of the day.
There's definitely that Fantastic Four melodrama. Because remember, you had every time the Submariner came around, you had honestly Dr. Doom and the Submariner. Everyone wanted a piece of Sue Storm. Let's be honest.
Oh, good old 1960s female writing. Oh yeah.
So, won't say it so nostalgically, but yeah.
Well, I'm saying it in a sarcastic, nostalgic tone.
Yeah. So,
honestly, Spider-Man, like that comic, was kind of ahead of its time when it came to like legitimately really good female characters that weren't necessarily just love interests.
True.
All right. Anyways.
So so you basically. they kind of interrogate this guy, and they kind of freeze his legs, and they basically set the reactor to go the particle experiment to go off again, which is going to irradiate the whole place. And he says, basically blurts out that it's going to overload if it gets to a certain point. It's like, well, you knew about the danger of the test. Why? Basically, why? And that's why he wasn't there. And he basically reveals that he was was trying to kill Magma. Because he wanted, basically, no, you weren't supposed to. Freon wasn't supposed to be there because he always was very jealous of Magma, and he wanted him. He was jealous of Michael. He wanted him gone. And he wanted the girl. Very, very crappy thing to do between friends, but yeah. So, anyways, the point being, the machine's been set off, and it's going to kill like thousands of people in Gotham. And this is where Batman steps in, because we can't have that happen, or else the show's over. So it's a 3-on-1 fight. Now, this is interesting, Tiki. So think about this. Up to this point, Batman has been again, this is showing Terry slowly but surely getting better in the show. Because think about it. Up to this point, he's fought Ink. He's fought a little bit of Blight. And Mr. Freeze. So he's been training against ice, intense. It was more radiation, but kind of heat. And, kind of elasticity.
Oh. Yeah, I see what you're getting with that. So it's like, in a way, it's like kind of like a progression of bosses in a way.
Yeah, in a way, yes. He's going to get in there. So like, by the time he goes to round 2 with Blight, he'll be a little better at it.
Cool.
So, and I love Bruce Wayne's POV reaction when we see Terry through the cowl cam, just like getting punched by Magma. And Bruce is like, oh, God. It's like, bam. And then we have this really cool Street Fighter move of Terry where he like kind of bobs and weaves, like when 2D Man has him all wrapped up and he ducks and kind of weaves out of there as Magma punches 2D Man in the face right against the wall. And then the brutal stuff happens, folks. This is where Batman Beyond, even an episode that seems like, even if overall this episode seems a little, not bad, but discountable, we then do this.
And again, Dragon, I just wish the stuff leading up to this was more memorable, because this is certainly a memorable ending, to be sure.
So Terry hits the emergency evac system to kind of dispense of a few of these guys. And he's not trying to kill them or anything. I want to be very clear here. And it's still a little unclear if they are dead, because they left the door open. But I think, honestly, the way I read the episode and the fact they ultimately did not bring him back, they are dead here. He turns on the fan suction, which essentially takes out 2D Man, who out of all three of them is probably the most alive, I'd have to imagine. But it sounds really horrible when he goes up into the vents of that thing, Freon,
right.
Of all three of these guys, Freon's probably dead. I don't think she's alive. She's like split apart when she's pulled up into the air conditioning system.
I would think so. Yeah.
Now, fun fact, Tiki. They did talk about the tie-in comics to bring them back, and the idea is they would hate Batman because Freon got killed in this fight, but they decided not to bring him back, so it was unclear if that. So this is probably all she wrote for them. This whole episode here. So again, probably goner. So then we have this. Now here's the other really good scene of the episode. That does bring back the Terry McGinnis of it all, and brings back the other really big Magnum moment. That again, if the episode were stronger, that might support this moment even better. So. Now that it's mano a mano, you have Batman going up against Magma here, and you have Terry here really stepping up to the plate, kind of old school Batman the Animated Series here on his own, the optimistic Batman, who would try and talk down the rogues, where he's saying, thousands of people will die, Dr. Morgan. You can't. And again, it's a little Doc Ock Spider-Man from Spider-Man 2, now that I think about it, just in the moment now. You can't. You can't want that. You're a hero, remember? And then we have a really good line from Magma here, saying, real heroes make a choice. I never did. And,
that's a pretty potent, like almost ahead of its time kind of like, it's a really interesting line for sure.
I mean, I think he starts off, it's like, no, I'm an accident. He's not a hero. He's an accident, which is an even better line. But yeah, but I love that this is kind of like, I think the point of this episode overall, Tiki, is that Terry McGinnis is learning the lesson between a hero and a vigilante, and just kind of like the appeal of being a hero and being a symbol and everything. And I think what he's seeing ultimately is that when you're a vigilante like Batman, there are no happy endings, and these kind of things happen all the time. You're gonna have a lot of heartbreak, and like this, basically, you're seeing why Batman is cynical initially against a Superman. I think that's kind of what this episode's about. For Terry, that's kind of my read on it, where he's kind of like he's a little crestfallen by, hey, here's some actually good people trying to make a difference in Gotham, and it goes terribly for him. So it's like there's no
right. Right. Yeah, it's like, okay, never mind.
I mean, again, it seems like the point of the series overall is to kind of get an outsider's perspective on what Batman's gone through in the years of years and years and years that we've seen him, do stuff in the DCAU, and this is kind of like one of those adventures getting there. So
Sure.
so then Magnus blocking the exit, so Hodges can't escape, and he's like trying digging himself out of the batarang that he shot earlier in the fight, and he's like, "No, you're staying here." And Batman uses a fire hose on him, and then he pummels him with the enhanced strength of the suit, like bam, 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 and until he goes down, and he hits the abort button, and then it looks brilliant. Again, Magma, he kind of I like to think he's alive, but that fire goes out, man, so it's unclear. He might be dead. But again, they were all dying anyway, so I can't really call Batman murderer here because they were all dying anyway.
Yeah, Atomic Beast has a comment. He says Bruce doesn't mind if Terry kills. It's either the trio or the people they were about to kill.
I don't know. It's a gray area with that.
But I agree. I also agree that they were about to die anyways. That's also a good point. So,
and I mean, how's Terry gonna know this is necessarily gonna kill him? It's like he's like putting him out with fire. He's using the air conditioning system, and 2D man has no excuse for dying. Let's be honest. That one's just no. That's an act of God if he dies. I don't know. Okay, because you're an elastic man who caught like 3 rocket guys in your chest, and you can't handle going up into an air conditioning vent. Let's be honest.
Right.
If anyone, he's probably alive. Okay, Magma just needs like a fire to probably bring some life into him. Freon, again, that one's just like who knew? And again, all probably dying from the DNA thing anyway. So that's not on him. Okay, I absolve Terry of these deaths in this episode.
Fair enough.
Then we have like the little thinker line at the end here. Batman Hodges here, and Batman's like saying kind of judgy way, like satisfied, and he says, "No, you don't understand. I was their friend." Right.
Nathan, you don't understand.
Yeah, I knew it. Especially in the episode called Heroes, that line was coming.
Right. That's appropriate.
But yeah, it's the sobering moment in Terry's journey where he's seeing kind of a tragedy unfold like this. And
again, Dragon, I feel like the ending is very Baby Doll-esque. I just wish the episode itself was half as good as Baby Doll.
Yep.
So that's kind of my final thought on it. It's a decent episode. It's just, there's just, I don't know. It's just, I feel like it's a good example of a mid-tier Batman Beyond. I'd give it like a high 6. I don't dislike it at all, but I just feel like more could have been done.
Yeah, again, look, Heroes is not exactly like a top 10 by stretch.
Of course. I don't imagine. Yeah.
But again, I mean, there's only, if I'm being frank here, I'm hard pressed to find a truly bad episode of Batman, except maybe one, which we'll get to. Except maybe one. That one's just really like, we did not need that episode at all. And I'm sure you probably find at least something to like in that episode, but still, that's way off. Point being, yeah, I mean, I don't think this is like in line with those. This is just, again, this is like an interesting concept, but again, this to me is the epitome of a filler episode in Batman, where like we just want to do some future stuff. And honestly, when you look at this episode, it just feels like we want an excuse to do some Jack Kirby stuff. That's really what this episode feels like. And it's like we love doing all the Jack Kirby stuff in Superman the Animated Series, but that show's ending, or like either that or like there's doing a whole bunch of that already on that show. Because I forget. The first season of Batman Beyond, if memory serves, is when all 3 shows are still on. So you have like they're all in their last seasons. Like Batman New Adventures is still on for 1 season. Superman Animated is probably in its 3rd season, which is the big Kirby season. Then you have the 1st season of this. So they're probably just like feeling their Kirby oats while they're doing Superman. It's like,
that's fair.
Let's just do more Kirby stuff for an episode. See if it goes well, maybe we'll bring it back. And ultimately it didn't. So we didn't do a lot of extra Kirby stuff. Except for Return of the Joker, which we'll get to. There's a lot of Kirby love in that, but anyway. But yeah, I mean, overall, so Heroes, it's good, but not by far the best.
All right, so I want to give a big shout out to Koski, Atomic Beast, and Lucas Green. Very, very engaging comments this evening. Thank you, guys. All right, Dragon. So this episode might have been mid, but from how you describe next episode, I'm pretty excited about it. So why don't you go ahead and cue it up?
A return to where it all started. Bruce Wayne gone senile? Sounds like trouble. Can Terry McGinnis play detective? How can the Batman fight sound itself? Tune in next time to find out. Same animated bat time, same animated bat place.
On the next visit to the animated Batcave with Shriek.
Batman rips.
We can be heroes just for one day.
Krakatawa!